Pretty interesting. I mean, like, my first introduction to you was when I was doing my final year.
Yes, I remember.
So like I was struggling to find information about South African graphic designers in particular, because that was what my thesis was about,
Yes,
right? So I had to
And this was, what year was this? This was
2012, 2013.
That's interesting because I studied from 2005 until 2000. I graduated in 2008. And I'm that old. But that was the same problem I had as well, because they would tell us, okay, go and write about the practitioners in your field, your industry, for your, what do they call it, academic reports and whatnot. But I couldn't find designers or practitioners that I could relate to culturally. You know what I mean? I mean, there were a lot of guys doing stuff out there, but I couldn't find the right kind of person who was speaking the same kind of or had the same kind of narrative that I wanted to interrogate or know about. So it's interesting that how many years later, 3 years later, you're still having the
same problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I know a lot of your work was inspired by Emory Douglas.
Very much so.
How did that come about, and like how did you discover him and his work and that space?
It's interesting because growing up in Zim, I don't know, back then, early 90s, probably that's when some of you were born. But I mean, I was very young, like as a 9-year-old kid. Because I've been drawing ever since I was 4. So back then, way before the internet and stuff, I spent a lot of time in libraries, you know, reading stuff at home, you know, like from the house library and whatnot. And because I was so much into art, I also stumbled upon like Black consciousness writings, you know, because I was reading stuff like Steve Biko. And keep in mind, I was like 9 years old. So my very inquisitive nature just wanted me to know, okay, what's happening? What is this Black consciousness all about? And so I was reading stuff on the struggle that was happening in South Africa, you know, what was happening in America in the 60s as well, the civil rights movements and stuff. And that's when I discovered the Black Panthers in particular. And I was drawn to what they were about, what they stood for, but particularly the imagery that was being put out was by this guy, Emory Douglas. He was like, they called him the Minister of Arts and Culture in the Black Panther movement. You guys are familiar with the Black Panthers, right? Yeah. So this guy used to do these posters that spoke about the plight of the black man in America during that time, during the 60s and 70s and stuff. But his posters that he was making, I could relate to them because as an artist, I realized early on that this is probably what I want to do, you know. And I think that is why my work still looks the way it is, because it was very inspired from what I discovered like 24 years ago, you know. And it's something that has constantly been like an underlying theme.
I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Get Out, but he like designed one of the posters that was shown in the Get Out art gallery.
If you guys haven't seen Get Out, you need to go check it.
Yeah, you have to watch it.
And I'm not just plugging because I was part of it, but it's a very important film. I think in the sense of it's a very, like a lot of things, because we're creative people, we constantly want to be changing the game. So that film actually changes what we're accustomed to and we know film to be about, you know.
So are you moving into the direction of being a movie director maybe, or?
It's something that I have been wanting to do for the longest time. So I definitely, it's definitely something that I will do.
So in being an independent graphic artist, right? Like what is, or let me start with when you were leaving corporate. Like what was the thing that said, actually, you know what, I'm going to jump, and whatever I jump into next is going to work?
Okay, I think because when I moved to South Africa, my situation was I had to work as a barman and I had to freelance to send myself through school. So for me already it was do or die. Like I don't really have the support structures that you normally need to have as a, you know, as a student. For me, my situation was do or die. I needed to come here and make this thing happen. So I worked almost 4 years in the industry. So 2 years in Cape Town, I was an illustrator. So straight after varsity, I graduated. I specialized in illustration.
You were at MI Collective?
MI Collective.
Yeah.
And then for almost 2 years, I was in advertising at Black River FC. And I think, not that I had anything particular against advertising, but I wasn't as passionate about it as I was about my other art things that I was doing, because I was being part of poster exhibitions all over the world. I was showcasing. I do a lot of like social commentary and poster art. That's what I primarily do, and I enjoy that a lot. So I was getting a lot of invitations from all over the place, you know, and the work was being received globally, and because of having an online presence and putting my work out there, people were noticing it and seeing it. And I had this 9 to 5 where I had to be working on advertising campaigns, which were not necessarily inspiring what I was as an artist. So I think what informed that jump was because of what I'd been through studying. You know, I already knew that, okay, if things get bad, I know what it's like. I've been there. So if I quit my job now, it's a risk I'm willing to take.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was 27. Before I quit my job, because I help out my mom. That's what I do. I help my mom. So I called her first and I told her, look, I'm frustrated at work. I'm not, you know, I need to start doing other stuff, you know, that's gonna inspire me and give me more purpose. So I called her and she said, whatever you feel in your heart, do it. Then I told her, but Ma, you know, you know, that safety, that security of a salary every single month is no longer going to be there. I'm going to be independent. I'm going to have to like. She's like, no, it's fine. If it's what you want to do, then do it. So as long as I got her blessing, for me, it made sense.
Okay, so like Africa's on the come up right now, and there are like a lot of emerging artists who are just like rising and rising and rising. Like who are your top 5 to look out for?
Top 5 to look out for?
Yeah.
But just to correct you there, Africa has been...
My bad.
No, it's because I was part of an exhibition in Germany. Like, it's ongoing now, but it started in 2014. And it was called Making Africa, and it was how Africa is at the forefront of design and whatnot. Yeah. So my problem with that was, how are we being seen now as on the come up, and for when we were building pyramids? You know, we have been doing some like innovative stuff since, you know. So in that sense, that's just my personal approach or my opinion. I mean, it's arguable, you know what I mean? But I think we have been doing some amazing stuff. If you want me to name 5 up and coming, or
the ones
people
that come to your mind first.
It could be any discipline or
wherever.
Okay, well, there's the fashion scene currently here in South Africa is very interesting. I mean, Laduma is doing some amazing stuff. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Makosa, you know, and also Lukanya Mdingi is another fashion designer, and Rich Mnisi.
So we're about to wrap it up. What are your final words to the children?
Wow. I was hoping that one wouldn't come. I think it's as simple as if you're passionate about what you do, you know, and if you actually enjoy it, I mean, you can't really, it's like the whole notion of having a job. You can't really call it a job if you're enjoying what you do. So I think don't lose track of just enjoying what you do. I think I think that's the most important thing about being passionate about something.
Yeah.